Welcome back, everyone. This is Chris for Geek Tech Live, and in this episode, we're going to talk about Drobo. I was actually able to put in a Drobo 800i or 800 series, I believe. It's for work, but Drobo has also, from the consumer market, released the 5D and the Mini, which, to be honest with you, seem like they're really the right move for the consumer markets. There's a lot of basically, external drives that are out there right now, but from a form functionality and from a flexibility standpoint, let's just call it, there's just a ton of things that Drobo brings to the market that a lot of the other ones don't. So without further ado, let's talk about the Drobo on this episode of Geek Tech Live. Drobo uses a proprietary form of RAID, I guess is the best way of putting it. It's sort of a smart RAID in a way. If you put in one drive, you don't get any redundancy. If you put in two drives, you could fail one drive and you'd get that, that redundancy in your RAID array. If you put in three drives, now you're actually starting to stripe across those drives, and you could still basically lose one drive and still retain all of the data. As you grow a Drobo, the Drobo will look and sense what size of those drives are actually there and allow you to use essentially the amount of free space, the maximum amount of free space of the smallest drive that allows you to essentially use the free space in there. This show could be a whole hour long for me to go into a huge dissertation, but rest assured, as long as if you really want to make it easy for yourself, just buy the same size drives if you can. And the nice thing about the Drobo unit is that you don't need to buy 5 drives right out of the ballpark. The drives themselves can get expensive. And if you're already spending about $600 for a Drobo or $700 for the new Drobo 5D, maybe you only want to buy 2-3 drives. If you're making this type of investment, it's the right thing to do. So the Drobo itself has, in the new 5D, it has Thunderbolt. So for all of you iMac and Mac aficionados out there, this would be the one to buy. The Drobo Mini also has Thunderbolt, from what I've actually read. So both of the new offerings from Drobo, definitely the ones for Mac users. For anyone else who doesn't have Thunderbolt and just has your standard FireWire, almost any of the other Drobos will work as well. They also have a NAS offering, so if you have the ability or need to just pop something onto your network and put it in the basement somewhere, Drobo has an offering for that as well. They come in a bunch of different flavors, either 4 or 5. I believe there's even a larger unit from there. Then you go directly into the business class, and the business class of Drobos essentially take you to, multiple drives, over 10 in some cases. So those can get extremely expensive. I actually just put in an 18 terabyte Drobo array at my job. That's actually where I got a first-hand knowledge of what Drobo can really do. And frankly speaking, it actually works quite well for what it is. Now remember, this is not a $300,000 extremely high performance, super crazy fast system that's super redundant that can take multiple drive failures and have no problem. It does have the ability to take, if you do dual disk redundancy in the 5D or the Mini, you can take up to 2 drive failures without any real noticeable issues. After that, you're toast. You're dead in the water. Any type of RAID is going to give you that sort of ability. They're typically considered a RAID 5 with a hot spare. But I'm letting you know right now, if you're dealing with RAID, if you have multiple drive failures, you will be in a world of hurt. You will not have backups of your system. You will lose everything, or be at least mostly unrecoverable. It's just not going to be a pretty system no matter what. But if you do it right, a Drobo will last you for a long, long time. Now, that being said, drives. This is where it all can come unraveled for a lot of people, because if you've already spent $700, you're going to probably try to get the cheapest drives possible and throw them into your Drobo. I wonder, is that a good idea or a bad idea? If you said it was a bad idea, you're 100% right. A little birdie told me, since I was actually talking to Drobo support, technical support, a couple of weeks ago, that the drives that are probably the best, and they do have a breakdown on the website that they have as far as what drives are the right drives to put in. Basically, you have two main choices, if you ask me. You either have Western Digital's Red drive or better, or you have Seagate Constellation drives or better. You don't need to put an enterprise class drive in, and so you don't need to spend another $250, $300 per terabyte drive to put it in to Drobo. But you do need to have drives that are made for always being on. Remember, this is a system that's going to continually have those disks spinning. Continually or continuously? Continuously. So they're never going to spin down. They're never going to do that, and they're going to be basically doing that for a long time. The cheap drives, the ones that you can get for, you know, $100, under $100, for like a 2 terabyte drive now, they'll work. They'll work absolutely fine. I'm not saying they won't work. They just won't last. So if you want to not have drive failures, don't buy cheap drives. If you're already investing $600-700 for a Drobo, or for that matter any individually home 5-bay, 4-bay RAID system, put in a decent drive. It will save you. Trust me, it definitely will save you time, heartache, headache, money, whatever you want to call it. It's just going to save you a ton of just bad juju. So go get those drives, 1 or 2 or 3 of those. Start out, I would suggest starting out with at least 3 if you can. And the beauty behind the Drobo is that if you can't afford 3 terabyte drives, Seagate Constellation, let's just say, and those are going to be in the $250, probably, maybe $300 range, I'm guessing. The price of those things goes all over the board. It's constantly coming down. Buy a 1 terabytes. Don't go crazy with all the money. You don't need to do that. Start out small and add to the Drobo. That's the beauty, actually, of the Drobo over a lot of these external RAID arrays as well. So you can add drives as you go along. Start with 3. You have 2 more open drive bays, and you can add another 2 terabytes of space to the Drobo as you basically want to expand. So you don't need to right out of the board. That's the other beauty of a Drobo. So the other thing I wanted to also say is, I know there are cheaper systems out there. There are going to be multitudes of external drives arrays that are out there right now that are great. And they're going to say, fast, great, super, stupendous performance, highly performant. There's a couple things you're going to want to look for. There are ones that are going to say, super great, faster performance, faster than a Drobo, faster and better than a Drobo, RAID 0. If you lose a RAID 0, 1 drive in a RAID 0 array, you're toast. There's no redundancy. There's just no redundancy. So if you get a 4 terabyte array for half the price of a Drobo, you're going to get the performance. I'm not saying that you won't, but be aware, if you have a drive failure, it's going to be a bad thing. So make yourself aware. Go on Wikipedia, go through all the RAID levels, figure out exactly what you need as far as redundancy and scalability, as well as performance, and do your research. From what I can tell you, from what I've seen right now, the Drobo itself is performing extremely well for a very cheap, in my case, slow disk storage system. For an equivalent sort of real world scenario, let's put it in perspective. I put in about 20 terabytes of fast SAS storage at my job, and we spent well over a couple $100,000 to do that. I put in 15 terabytes of slower SATA storage on the Drobo, and I only spent at work about $6,500, $7,000. So the price difference is extremely different, but you're also not going to get highly performant disc. Now you can put in high performance disc. We just didn't want to do that. That's not what we were going to use it for. From the consumer side of things, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to just scale exactly that story I just gave you back and say to yourself, am I going to be rendering video to my Drobo? Yes, no. Oh, no? Oh, well, then I probably don't need to worry about this. The new 5Ds and the minis also have the ability to put in an a mini SSD in the bottom. That's pure cache is what it uses it for. So if you want to boost the performance of the 5D or the mini, which Drobo is, I think, the only one that I've seen that does this, you can go to Newegg or wherever you go to buy your hard drives and look for the little mSATA SSDs, and they're not that expensive, but you don't really need a big one either. You can get a 50, 60 gig and basically take that solid state, and it plugs in basically in the bottom of the 5D and the bottom of the mini. What the Drobo does with that is it basically uses that as a whole bunch of cacheable data. So as you're writing stuff to it, you can write to that flash drive really fast, and then it writes out to the disk. So from perception-wise, you're going to see a huge boost in performance just by using that. My preference would be for myself, if I was going to be basically kitting one out right now, I'd get a 5D, I'd put in 2 drives to start, and I would get that mini little SSD card and drop that in the bottom. And then as I add more drives to the Drobo, I'm gonna get all the performance and all of the scalability that I would want, all in one small package. So again, Drobo, check them out. They have some really cool new offerings. If you're taking a lot of photos, family photos, videos, things like that, and you want to have a good large amount of space that'll grow with you, so you don't have to buy 8 terabytes right off the bat, this is the one to do. Check out Drobo at drobo.com. Well, that's been the Drobo episode of Geek Tech Live. I would like to also just state that Drobo is not giving me any money for this. Drobo is not giving me any kickbacks, or you noticed I didn't tell you to go put in Geek Tech Live or Geek Tech Drobo or whatever on their website. I just came across it. I actually use them, and I think that they can really work for a lot of people. So I'm not a paid advertiser for them. In fact, I just really like their product. So if that makes any difference for you, I hope it does. I just wanted to make sure that everybody out there realized that I just like talking about Drobo, and I think they're a great product. They have a great fit, and the new Drobo 5D and Mini, especially the Mini for portability, fantastic product. Check them out, drobo.com. This has been Chris for Geek Tech Live, and I'll talk to you all again in about a week.